one of the ugliest homes we've ever repossessed. Property filled with dog feces, destroyed floors, and biohazard level filth. It's like a landmine, right? Like once in a while, you're going to run into something like this. And God forbid it happens to be the first private mortgage you do. You run into a bit of a challenge at 80% in a situation like this because the 20% is only $100,000. We approached a group we know and trust. If you guys are looking for an opportunity, here's some things that we can do. Number one, we're in possession of the property. You could become essentially our partner. You go into the property, do the renovation.
So you're like, let's cut out the middleman that I would have been. Let's remove the middleman that you would have been for me to fix this thing up and just like go raw cost on both sides.
Correct.
Nice.
So we work together. All right, welcome back to The Wealthy Lender. This is episode 19. I'm Chris Nichilo, licensed mortgage broker, financial literacy advocate, and founder of Magnetic Capital Group, Canada's premier private mortgage firm. Of course, my opinion is that we are the best. Today's story is about one of the ugliest homes we've ever repossessed. And we haven't repossessed that many, but this one was ugly. We took back a property filled with dog feces, destroyed floors, and biohazard level filth. It was ugly. But instead of panicking or pouring money into the cleanup, we made a creative move here that really turned a disaster into a win. And in this episode, I'm going to show you how smart structuring and the right professional relationships can turn even the worst property into a profitable exit, and why speed, strategy, and certainty always beat emotional decision making. Nick, how are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to hear this story. I'm slightly scared. We've hinted at this story in passing, but now we're doing the deep dive into the nasty. So,
well, here we go. I mean, listen. I mean, the part of the story that matters the most is the solution, because it was an excellent collaborative effort, and it was very creative. But it just goes to show you there's a number of levers available to you when you have good collateral. And we had good collateral when we put the mortgage on this property, as always is the case. But the borrower did their best to turn that good collateral into poor collateral, on the way out. Now, having said that, it's also a great example of how hard it is to turn collateral bad. I mean, the reality is, a residential property as collateral is about as good as it gets. And so, if you're a new lender or you're someone who's inexperienced and you find yourself in a difficult position, it's rare that should happen if you're doing things the right way. But it's like a landmine, right? Like once in a while, you're going to run into something like this. And God forbid it happens to be the first private mortgage you do, just know that you don't need to panic. What you really need to do is just sit back, think it through. And again, you've heard me say before, stop the bleeding, then mend the wound, right? So it's a matter of being level-headed and thinking things through. And in this case, this was not something we expected. The borrower defaulted. We went through the process of getting possession of the property through the legal channels. Nothing was a surprise. It was, if he could have, we tried to work with the borrower. If there was another way out to keep him in the home, then we would have pursued that happily with him. Didn't have bad relations with him. I mean, save for the fact that towards the end, he started to become, less inclined to speak with us, right? But I mean, when you're coming to the end, it's kind of emotional. But when we got possession of the property is when we realized, things had changed from the time we put the mortgage on the property. And it's very simple to sum it up. I mean, we learned he had 5 very big dogs on the property. It was a smaller property in Hamilton, sort of like a wartime type home. And not a big lot, not a big backyard, but the backyard was just overrun with dog stuff, and it was just ugly. Like you could tell that he hadn't really taken care of the place maybe while he was in it, but on the way out, he really didn't.
Okay, so you're
Like
saying he wasn't necessarily overly negligent throughout the, I don't know how long he made his payments for, but you're saying on the way out, it was just like an extremely spiteful move.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's speculative on my behalf, but I think that's what it looked like. That's what it felt like. That's how it appeared to be.
Okay, like you
So
guys are going to take this thing. Here you go.
yeah. So I'm not going to help you on the way out. If I nick some walls or maybe punch a hole in one, or like I'm not going to clean up after my dogs, and you deal with it. Anyways, the state of the property when we got there was inadequate, right? And so when this happens, right, you're faced with a situation where you have a choice to make. Do you want to just take the property and list it for sale as is, or do you want to rehabilitate any or all of it in an effort to improve the way it shows, right? So, and again, so important that we clarify on these episodes that I'm just one guy with one opinion. So none of what I'm saying in terms of what we did or how we thought this through is rule, right? But it's our philosophy, the way we go about it. And in a situation like this, I always look at it and say, okay, well, how is the market going to respond to a property in this type of state? So if you look at it and you say, okay, if all the properties around me are appraising for $500,000 roughly, all the ones that look like this, right? And then mine, has all the same attributes, same bedroom, same size, same number of bathrooms, all the rest of it, but it's in this decrepit state or a really, abused state. What does that do to the value? And so for me, how I think about it is, what am I going to attract in terms of buyers if I put it on the market in this state? And I think that's a really key piece of this is you say, okay, well, I'm going to either attract contractors, right? People who have
Investors or flippers.
people who have the skills, the tools, the means to take a property that's in a poor state and improve it and then sell it. And those people would only buy it if they feel they could make a profit.
Right.
The other type of buyer would likely be someone who is looking to do the same type of thing, except looking for a deal so they can live in it. So someone who's trying to get into the market at a lower cost point.
A low baller end user.
Correct. Now, either one of those, the problem is they need to feel like they're getting a deal.
Right.
Right? They need to get a deal. Now, so now you're, as a lender, you're saying it's no problem. As long as the deal isn't so great that it impacts on, that it uses up all the equity buffer I have, and now I'm not getting enough to pay the mortgage.
To paint an economic backdrop, what year was this?
This would have been 2022, I believe.
Okay, so if you're after the spring, you're not into like multi-offer COVID madness anymore.
No,
Yeah,
we weren't.
okay.
We weren't there. We're in I would say, sort of a more fair market. But
Okay.
So we looked at this and we thought, if we sell it in its current state, we got to heavily discount it. We were at 80% of the value on this property. So, you're talking about a property in that $500,000 price range. So you run into a bit of a challenge at 80% in a situation like this, because the 20% is only $100,000.
Yes.
So you look at it, and I'm not a contractor, and I'm not, a flipper or whatnot. But if just simple math, like if I sell it for 400 and somebody has to put 50 into it, are they going to do that in order to make $50,000? They can sell it for 500 after.
Yeah, it's not a high leverage effort situation.
Not necessarily, but the higher end properties in that location, we're selling for a bit more of a premium. So there's a bit more money, a little bit more wiggle room, and so on. So it, like in that moment, it's not feeling great, right? Like you're looking at it and you're saying, if I do this straight to the end user, or a low ball flipper, I might be really tight here to get all my money out.
Mhm.
And so instead, we thought, well, what if we could be part of the solution with a contractor? What would that look like? And where it gets creative is utilizing the levers that you have that can help the contractor make money, or make it worth their while. So we approached a group we know and trust that we knew could do the job, and said, listen, if you guys are looking for an opportunity, here's some things that we can do. Number one, we're in possession of the property. You could become essentially our partner. You go into the property, do the renovations, you bring the capital necessary to do that, the tools and whatnot. And remember, when you're talking to a contractor, because they have access to labor, right, that they can do themselves, they're going to save money. And contractors also get better deals on materials, like good ones, right?
Yes.
So, what we could do is we could be in a position where we can allow you into the property to renovate it and improve it before you take possession of it.
Yeah, you're saying let's have this project, you know, be at cost, both on the financing side and on the renovation side, because they would have gotten expensive flippers get expensive financing either way. They can't get it from the bank, right?
That's right.
So you're like, let's cut out the middleman that I would have been. Let's remove the middleman that you would have been for me to fix this thing up, and just like go raw cost on both sides.
Correct.
Nice.
So we work together. You come in, you put the money in to do the work, you do the work. And now two things happen. Number one, we can agree at the beginning on a price, which is just what we need to get out. Like we don't need, but if we were to put it up for sale at that amount, we might be accused of selling it improvidently. So instead, we become partners with the contractor. The contractor comes in, does the work, the value increases, the state of the property is much better and more attractive to both buyers and renters. So now you open up the rental door. The property is to code, everything's under control. And now the contractor knows he's got a fixed price to buy that property when the renovations are done. Plus, he can get a mortgage if he needs to hold it, he can get a mortgage on the new value, the appraised value after the renovations, the improved value. So
Yeah.
now you can leverage more at the bank.
Yep. And if he doesn't want to hold it, then all the extra gravy's his.
That's correct. So this project took we're not in it for profit.
Right.
Right.
He's incentivized. If he wants to sell it, he's incentivized to just improve it to his heart's content and keep all the extra gravy.
We're the best partner you could have.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So essentially, we get to work on this project together. They did a spectacular job of improving the property on a very small budget. And in the end, we got every dollar out that we needed. It took less than 3 months. So the meter wasn't like we were able to project out 3 months. We got exactly what we needed to get out. The contractor ended up with an asset they sold and made money. And it became a win-win. So you turn, a dire situation into a total win. And it's really just creativity and the the I guess the
Stripping down the
savviness.
numbers to their essence and then figuring out what fits here.
Yeah, you're bringing in someone who you're offering an opportunity that's tailored for what they do.
Can you imagine being a flipper and like, hey, if you want to do this job, there's no financing cost to this one.
Right? I mean, again, like a
There's some
dream
dog
come
crap
true.
everywhere, but besides that,
Yeah. So, sort of in a sense, a dream scenario for a flipper. So
amazing story. I like that one. I
it's,
like this one.
yeah, yeah, it, it's a great example of the power of the collateral, you know?
Yes.
Now, is every scenario going to be like that where there's enough margin and enough room? No, but we're at 80% and we would never go higher than 80. In fact, our average is 70. So if you leave a decent buffer and you act with efficiency, right? Like we didn't wait on this. We started into the process as soon as possible. You don't let the interest meter get away from you. Um, and you spend some time to think it through and run the numbers and try to create an opportunity where you bring somebody else in. The beauty of it is in the lending business, when you do have an asset to sell, you don't need to get out more than you put in, right? You don't need appreciation, you don't need any of that. Now there's a lot of lenders I know who get greedy in this situation, right? They get greedy and they start to think, oh well, you know, I'll take over this property and then I'll make a profit. And that's when it can get really sticky. I mean, now you're getting into maybe you want to try to do the renovations yourself, or that's like you become a home flipper, not us. That's not the investment we're in. We're not in the investment of buying and selling property. So you let the professionals do what they do. You find the right partner who has the right tools, the right means, the ability and skill. Let them do what they do. It's like when you have to sell a property. You can, sure, you're a private lender and you get control of a property. You can go out and find Mincom real estate, or and pay 1% or whatnot. But you can also partner with the very best real estate teams in that marketplace who know the market, who have connections in the market, who know how to market a property in that market and know how to get it sold. And time is a massive piece of this puzzle. So being able to take this particular situation, come up with a solution, recruit the partner, and get the job done in 3 months or less
Oh man.
is paramount to the results.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
so, it's decisiveness, but not rushing, but just being decisive. We're going to explore the options, go through those motions. Look, you could do 100 of these and have one like this, right? You could do 100 mortgages and have one. So, you know, you should be taking the approach that if and when one of these happens, I'm going to give it my attention, right? Like I'm going to give it my attention, the attention it deserves. I'm going to tear it apart, think it through, develop structures, evaluate my own structures, determine which one's the most likely to end the best, and then make a decision, move forward, implement your plan, get it done.
Yeah. This is the result of those lead premiums, and now it's time to step up.
Yeah, that's it. So I guess the lesson here is exactly that. Be mindful that this can happen. If it does, be prepared to um, recruit the right people. You don't have to do this all yourself. You don't need to, and you certainly shouldn't be attracted, like get distracted, and then by being attracted to the potential that, oh, this could get even better for me now that I own the asset. And no, you just need to get your money out. That's it. That's the whole thing. You want what you wanted when you got in was that you lend the money to the borrower, they pay you your interest, and a year later they pay you back. The only piece of that didn't happen is they didn't pay you back yet. So that's what you should focus on, is getting your money back.
Yeah, you want to put that cash to work again.
Yeah. I've spoke to more than one private lender who's joked, right, about how they love this space because when somebody defaults, they can turn it into a bigger profit or whatnot. I've also seen some of those people be faced with a situation like this, and their talk doesn't turn into action very fast, and before they know it, any opportunity of solving it for themselves evaporates, and then they find themselves in a very precarious situation. So stick to what you do, stay in your lane. You're a lender.
Yeah,
Your
you're a
job
lender.
is to facilitate an exit. That's it. And that's what we do for investors. So it's lesson learned. Really, really good story though. So
Love this story. Yep, this was a great one.
it was a good one. So we'll see what happens on the next one. Until then,
Happy
lending.
Happy lending.
All right.